Hey guys, welcome back to Plooper Troop. I'm your host Dylan, and welcome to the channel, or if you're new here, welcome. Today we're going to be talking about the games I played in January 2024. This is a series of videos that I wanted to start last year where I would kind of document the games that I played throughout the year on a month-by-month basis, but I just kept forgetting to sit down and record each game that I played every month. This time I'm actually keeping a bullet-style journal of all of my gaming thoughts and experiences for this year to help with my creative process, and as such, I'm hoping to release one of these videos every single month of 2024 to give me something to look back on and see what my gaming habits and opinions were. If you like this content, make sure you like and subscribe and tell me what your favorite games that you played in January were. With all of that out of the way, let's take a look at the games that I played in January 2024. The first game that I played was the indie action JRPG from Studio Sai, Eternights. This game follows a group of 18-year-olds who find themselves at the forefront of the battle for humanity and the world as they know it. I won't talk too much about this game as I have a video focusing on it coming soon, but what I will say is that the game is one that I played pretty much all at once over the course of a couple of days. My overall feelings on it were pretty positive. There were some debut title indie jank things to it, but overall this game had some strong moments of emotional storytelling, which I felt was mainly due to the stellar vocal performances given by the game's talented cast. The action combat also had some depth to it, and there were some fights that gave me a bit of difficulty, which I found to be overall engaging for the most part. I did get bored a little bit with the action combat towards the end of the game as some of the longer fights became kind of a slog, but overall the combat was pretty fun. Eternights is a game that overall I really enjoyed and I found myself struggling to put down after I picked it up, and so it marks the first game that I played in 2024, as well as the first game that I completed in 2024. Number 2 on my list is Outlast Trials. Outlast Trials is another game that I picked up during the winter Steam sale like Eternights, and me and some of my friends gave it a few tries over the last month. We are pretty terrible at it, except for one of my friends who is an absolute monster at the arm wrestling minigame, but we did have some fun when we played the very first mission. The atmosphere is tense, and it does a really good job of invoking that classic Outlast experience of creating that sense of dread while players search the map to find various pieces of the overall puzzle that is the mission. There were some truly scary moments and close calls when we played, and there's a lot of gameplay mechanics that pile on the tension, like releasing more prisoners into the map if the group is taking too long to stir the pot, which I felt like were some really thoughtful additions that aim to continuously heap on the pressure. Now, with that being said, we haven't hopped on to play a session of this game since beating the first mission at the beginning of the month, and I think that's largely due to the fact that we got pretty frustrated at times with this game. There were times when we were really close to finishing the final portion of this first mission just to suffer a team wipe after the boss kind of hovered or camped over one of our downed bodies, which would result in us having to do the entire trial again. There was also the painful realization that after finishing the last objective that we would still have to return to the transport to leave the level, where they planted two strong and annoying enemies to block the path of. Then there was the final reveal that you have to hide and wait for the transport to arrive and pray that they don't randomly search the locker that you've been hiding in the whole time. All of this led to us getting pretty burnt out, and as such we haven't had the motivation as a group to don the retina burning green of the night vision goggles to see if we can outlast another trial. Trails in the Sky First Chapter marks the first entry in the Legend of Heroes series that spans many games that have been released over many years and many platforms. It also marks my first dip into the series after watching from the sideline for a very long time, and I mentioned in my winter Steam sale video that I really wanted to finish this game this year so that I could finally get into the Trail games and see if I enjoy them as much as their loving fan base does. Trails in the Sky follows an adoptive brother and sister who aspire to become bracers, a versatile member of a guild that basically do whatever needs done. I started this game at the beginning of January, and it quickly became my game that I play whenever work is slow. However, that did change a bit when I shifted to beating Eternights. I got through the first 10 hours of this game, and I am really enjoying what I've played so far. The PSP style chibi sprites give a sense of nostalgia for me, and there's just so much to love about the way that this game is presented. The music is wonderful, the characters are interesting, and the plot has some strong points once things pick up a bit. I've been enjoying the slow burn feel of this first Trails game, and some of these older JRPG mechanics I found myself enjoying, like sleeping in inns to replenish health. Small choices like this are my favorite bits of world building in RPG games, and it kind of gives me that adventurer on the road feel. Like these characters aren't in their home a lot of times, and so they would be sleeping at inns or, you know, you'd presume like camping and stuff, but it's kind of nice to have that just going into an inn, and even though it's just a menu of talking to the innkeeper and getting a room and then the screen kind of fades to black, just that thought in my head of like, yeah, this is cool, like we have to, there's like a whole mechanic of like I can go and sleep for the night to heal up. I really like that. I think it's good for world building, like I said. The combat is also pretty fun, and I love the addition of a speed up button on Steam that allows me to fly through encounters when I want to grind out some XP. I'm really looking forward to getting back into this game before too long, and if this is the first game in the series and it already has this much quality, I am really excited to see what the rest of this legendary series has to offer. I had no idea what Puyo Puyo was, and I barely touched Tetris because as a kid I thought that looks boring and like another game my mom would play, like Bejeweled. Well, thanks to my wife and my Steam Deck, I now gave this title a try, and I immediately got addicted to both Puyo Puyo and Tetris. There is something so satisfying about clearing the lines in these games, and I really enjoy the versus mechanic throughout the goofy and over-the-top campaign. I still suck at both of these game modes, especially Tetris, because my brain turns to pudding when I'm trying to put the pieces together of a successful run, but these games are a blast. They're so easy to pick up and play whenever I just want to relax and challenge myself, and I really saw the appeal in why games like these work and have stood the test of time. They have very simple gameplay loops to ensure that no run will ever be the same as the one before it, and there is some great satisfaction in piecing these combinations together to clear a board. I've already downloaded Tetris Effect on my PS5, and I'm looking forward to getting into that. So yeah, I would say that I'm now understanding the hype of Tetris, and I am really enjoying myself, and I will probably continue to play Puyo Puyo Tetris 2 until I beat the campaign. I've never been very big on arcade fighting games, mainly due to the fact that I've always found them really hard to learn, and because I grew up with a best friend who would just beat the tar out of me rather than teach me how to play. My wife really enjoys them, however, even though she is a self-admitted button masher, and so when I ordered her very own Purple Galactic PS5 controller, I had to get her a game that she would enjoy. And so I ordered Street Fighter 6. We actually got a really good deal on this game at my local game store for the PS4 version, which then allowed us to upgrade to the PS5 version for free. We've gotten the chance to beat each other up for quite a bit and test out a lot of the characters in the game, and I gotta say, it looks really good on PS5. The fighting feels fluid, the art style is really sleek and cool, and color and special effects that explode across the screen when characters do their big moves really made these moments feel satisfying to pull off. I also found the attention to detail of the character that I immediately wanted to play with, Honda, to be such a cool touch. I got into sumo last year and really started to get into all of the traditions and things, and I thought it was cool to see all of the attention to detail to his character. It's just something I couldn't shut up about while me and my wife were playing this, and yeah, it was a really good time. I think it's safe to say we're going to be playing a lot more of this game throughout the year. Fears the Fathom. I love this series. In fact, I listed it as one of the top 10 games I played last year, and if you want to find that video in the description below or the little card at the top right of the screen, you can find it there. I think the independent developer Rail has done such a wonderful job in creating a horror anthology that feels like reading a horror story Reddit thread. I think that's why while these episodes are definitely chilling and unsettling, there is some comfort in them for me. It feels like those late nights of staying up with my sister and watching horror short films, or when me and my wife listen to those Reddit close encounter or scary stories at night to scare ourselves. The way that the short narratives are told in these episodes and the execution of bringing these supposed true stories to life are done so well, and it really captures that feeling of dread that the original posters must have felt when they were in these situations. Ironbark Lookout is no different, and the narrative and atmosphere here were so tense and unsettling, which sits in juxtaposition to the beautiful sunsets we're treated to and the calmness of the daytime forest. Ironbark Lookout follows the story of a newly transferred Firewatch lookout on the Ironbark Forest team. Nighttime brings some unusual occurrences and everything may not be as it seems. This setting lends itself to so many opportunities to create fear in the player, and pair this with the isolation of our character and having to head outside at night to restart a generator or gather firewood, it becomes a dreadful task that had me considering never progressing the game and just sitting there staring at the ceiling of my Firewatch tower in the dark. While Episode 4 didn't offer a ton of new gameplay elements like some of the previous entries, it did take what's been introduced and made another really strong entry into the episodic horror anthology, and this marks the second game that I have completed in 2024. I'm excited to see what Rail does in the future, and with the last episode and with games that they're working on that aren't related to this, I just think that this series has really come to life and become a really good indie horror experience that I think just really captures the feeling of internet culture, creepypasta, Reddit thread, horror stories very well. I bought Dying Light 2 on my PlayStation 5 during the holiday sales, and I immediately dove right into it. The first game was one of my most anticipated games and my favorite PS4 game when it came out, and I had heard a lot of good things about the long-awaited sequel. Dying Light 2 follows the story of Aiden, a traveling pilgrim who has risked his life many times while searching for his long-lost sister. This search finds Aiden in the sprawling city of Villador, where he becomes ingrained in the conflicts and politics of the city. So far, I'm still in the very early parts of this game, and I just kind of unlocked the full exploration of the massive city, but I gotta say, this game is so fun. The parkour is smooth, and traversing the city through running across rooftops is a lot of fun. The combat is visceral and reactive, and pairs well with the intensity of the close quarters and many of the explorable locations within Villador. I can't say a lot about this game yet, because as I said, I'm only a few hours in, but so far the quality of Dying Light 2 has made for an engaging playthrough, and I'm really looking forward to continuing my time exploring Villador and trying to find Aiden's sister. And to wrap up everything that I played in January 2024, I saved the most controversial and the game that I played the most this month for last. Palworld is a new survival crafting game that came out in the middle of the month and took the internet by storm, quickly becoming one of the fastest selling games on PC. Palworld features a large map to explore and the usual survival crafting mechanic gameplay like chopping down trees, mining stone, building bases, but where Palworld differs is that the map is full of creatures to capture and tame that help you do all of these survival crafting mechanics. Palworld is a game that likely everyone has heard of at this point, probably ad nauseum, with the internet cracking down the middle and everyone taking sides on whether or not they should support this game based on some controversial topics like the developer using AI before in one of their previous games and some creature designs that look very close to that of Pokemon. But I'm not here to stand on my soapbox and tell you what is ethically right or wrong about Palworld, because you should make that decision for yourself based on whether or not this game looks like something you would enjoy. I myself have played 17 hours at the time of recording, and I have to say that as a person that doesn't always enjoy these survival crafting mechanics in these kind of games, this one is a lot of fun. I enjoyed finding all the new creatures, figuring out what combination of them in my base would be the most efficient. I loved exploring the map and finding new dungeons to take on to grow my team. And I found the base building both pretty quick in terms of resources needed, as well as never feeling like too much of a grind to just throw up another building in my base to store things in. I don't know. I'm also happy that there is a game like this that might ruffle some feathers at the ever-complacent Game Freak, and I hope that other monster collecting games come out of this to help provide some healthy competition. Games like Cassette Beast last year, and Coromon before it, Temtem, it's nice to see these kind of games come out because hopefully the fact that Palworld is so successful will drive Game Freak to try to change up their formula a little bit. I feel like Palworld represents what maybe Legends Arceus could have been, and yeah, I just think that this game is a lot of fun, and it's up to you whether or not you think that this is something you want to play or not, something you want to support or not. Don't let other people tell you what you should and shouldn't play. And that wraps up all the games I played in January 2024. It's been a busier month for me, and while I did have some strong motivation to tackle my backlog soon, the upcoming releases of Persona 3 Reload and Granblue Fantasy Relink are probably going to dominate next month for me. If you like this video, make sure you like and subscribe, and feel free to share what you played in this past month with me in the comments below. I would love to have some wholesome conversations about the games we're all currently playing, and until next time, have a good one. Peace.